See if we can get this working. Hey everyone. Can you hear me good? Is the sound okay? Awesome. Hey Britannia, how are you doing? Let's see. So, those of you that wasn't in the stream yesterday, we had some technical issues in the beginning, but pretty much what we got created was this simple like counter class used from the example. And then what we ended up doing was this list of just cat facts that we got from the API, and then just display that in the app. So when we press this, we can reload the app and then just get that data again. I'm doing really good. So I was thinking of making this more, because yesterday was a lot more on getting stuck on that API actually. So I think we are going to do more state management oriented. So for example, we have this list of items here. So I'm thinking of having, for example, some kind of variable that holds the number of posts that we have here. And then so we can display that throughout the whole app. If we navigate somewhere, we can still have that page, or maybe if we press on one of them, we will increment a value and we can display that everywhere. So something like that. So I'm thinking of first off just creating that app bar so we can have something to display on. Maybe we will have a title. Cat. MobX or provider, which is better? So one thing with MobX, it doesn't really provide a way of passing widgets or passing data down the tree. So I'm actually using a combination of MobX and provider right now. Because as you can see here, I want to have some way of passing that data down. But like so far, I haven't really gone into provider yet. That would be another live stream. I think if you look down in the description, I have like a readme of the list of the different state management that I will try to cover or learn. But I really won't answer most of those questions yet. Do you prefer MobX over Redux? Well, the only experience I have from Redux is mostly from web, and I wasn't a big fan of it, so I will see what I think about it in Flutter later. Hey Leonardo, how are you doing? Okay, so we have this cat facts app. We have a list of cats, or list of cats, and then the fact. So I'm thinking of, just to try this out, having a value up here at the top right corner, just displaying the total amount of facts that we have. So what do we have here? Actions. Widgets to display after the title widget. Yeah. So maybe we want just a number here. Can we just display text? I've forgotten. Yeah, good enough. We can just make this look better later. Or just make a container child. Let's make some text inside here. Shape or the box decoration. Radius. Border radius.circular. Can have a color. I've forgotten how to make a nice nice one actually. Let's set a height to 20. Width to 20 maybe. Let's ignore that part actually. I don't want to dwell into that too much. Let's just have a text for now, which will just display the amount of posts we have. So right now we're just displaying 1, 2, 3. So I'm thinking of if we go to the cats store, and this one is pretty much the MobX implementation. Did you work with Getit? I haven't really used Getit yet. Maybe something I will be covering or checking out in the future. Right now I'm just using dependency or passing the widgets with a provider. So we can see here if we go to main, we can see here that I am just having a provider up here at the top and then just providing that cat store. And this cat store is the implementation of the MobX. So one thing that I forgotten last time, which we got stuck on quite a bit, was that if we go to this cat store, is that we have to make sure that the Flutter packages pub run build runner watch is active, because that before had like turned off or crashed before. So I didn't really get any changes, or it took quite a while to notice that one. So this seems to be pretty important to have, and just be aware of that. So what I'm thinking of here is that we have this observable with the length of the number of cat facts we have. So if I remember correctly, they have observables, but they also have a computed. So we can take the computed, and with computed we're simply pretty much creating a getter, and this getter will be a representation of, in this example, the amount of facts that we have. So this will be represented in an int. So int facts, int get facts is the cat facts.length. So now this pretty much will return the total number of cat facts that we have. So now if we go here, if we want to make that be represented in the top right corner, we can wrap this in a observer widget. So if we take the observer widget, and it takes a builder. So let's take the builder, and we don't care about the context for now. And here we can just return the text. So now we can actually take, so the thing we want to display in this text is pretty much just the cat store and then the facts. Maybe I'm going to get a better name for that, but we can just check that. We're just going to make it a 2-string. So actually, instead of just having a number like that, let's just have it a number like that. So now we can see that we get 170 facts. If we refresh this, it's still 170. Can you explain a little more about how a builder context is different from widget context? Like I haven't really myself looked into the changes or the differences from them. So I will have to look a bit more on them myself before I give a better answer. Maybe someone in the chat have a better answer for that. So now we have that text. Like, how do we display this to make it a little more nicer? Or instead, actually, let's do like this. So instead of having these facts like that, we can have that computed there also. But let's also make another observable. And this observable will be pretty much responsible for each time we click an item, we want to increment that value so we can theoretically see how many of those posts we have actually read. So we're going to have a int, and this will be facts read, and this is equal to 0 when we begin or when we start this, and this will probably be like stored in a backend later. We don't really care about that. This is more about the state management side. I'm starting my e-commerce app. What would you like to suggest me? Could you clarify your question a bit? Or what do you mean by what would I like to suggest you? Like what way to take, or where to start, or... Okay, so we have this int with facts read, which is 0 right now. So what we can do is also declare an action for this one. So the action will be just a simple void function, and this will be increment facts read, something like that. And we can just take the facts read and increment that. So now we have a observable and also a increment facts read. So instead of taking this one, we can take facts read, and that will be 0 to begin with. Which database should be better? Like, I've seen some example of people building it with Firebase. I try to see Firebase more of live data storage. I myself build most of my things with Firebase, but I'd like to have more SQL solutions. I'm just going to think here. So a e-commerce app is pretty much just an app with a store with a lot of items, maybe categories and sorting and stuff like that. It depends really on what functions you really need for the database or for the e-commerce app. But my recommendation would be, if you're, for example, looking on Firebase, I would try to define or get your app down, or your thoughts down on a paper or some kind of get it out of your brain of some sort, and then just putting out all of the things you actually need. So do you have to sort the data? Do you have to delete the data? Do you have to store it in a user, etc., etc., and see if that is possible with Firebase? Then I believe Firebase is a good solution if it covers your use cases. So now we have this facts read, and let's just go to this list tile. And what I'm going to do now is pretty much just, for example, this list tile. I don't like to have my list tiles in the same page as I have the other data or the other widgets. It just becomes a bit cluttered. So let's just extract widget, and this will just be cat facts tile, something like that. We remove the new keyword. So now we have this one. So what we need in here, so each time we, for example, do the on tap, is that we need to call the MobX and then just increment the red value. So to do that, we can just call the provider to just get that value. So for example, let's take final, what did I call it? But how about Firebase cost? I read somewhere that it can be too much of your app if your app got too big. Like, in some cases, Firebase isn't really a good solution, but most of the times the red is not that, or the cost is not that high with Firebase. I believe it's pretty low actually. But depending on what features you want, I would try to look at the pricing for each read and then just trying to calculate out how much, for example, 100 users would cost, or 1,000 users, or 100,000 users. If your ads would cover that, or if you have some kind of in-app purchase and stuff like that, it shouldn't be much of an issue. So we have, what did we call it? Cat store. So we have the cat store, which is equal to provider.offContext. And this will be of type cat store, I believe. So now we have the cat store. And with this, we can simply call cat stores and then just call our action, which is the increment facts thread. So now theoretically, if we press some of this button, that value up there should increment. Which works pretty good. What we can actually do is probably we will not call this one from this page. We will probably navigate to a page with that specific post. And then when we do navigate to that, we will also increment facts thread. But let's do it for like this for now. And which platform language would you suggest me? Flutter, Dart, or Java, Android? Like that, like all of this question depends quite a bit. So I will take myself as an example. Most of the apps that I'm building myself, I want them to be on iOS also. So that's why the main selling point of Flutter is that you have it cross-platform, right? So just if you have an idea or a project you want to make, you just get that down on paper, check, can I do these things in Flutter? And if you can, then maybe that's a solution for you. And that will probably make everything a lot easier for you also. But like always with all projects and stuff like that, you have to research before you begin with the project. Or else you will probably work on a project and then abandon it in 2 months. That's happened to me. So it's just a friendly help there. Okay, so we have this value, which is shown here, right? So maybe we can do something more. Should we create a drawer maybe? Nah. I think we should just navigate to another page. So when you click on a post, we can navigate to that page. And also I have implemented so this cat fact is actually having all of the data from the JSON. So maybe we can have something else than type, as we know that all of these are actually cats. So maybe we can have the username and then first. And if this is null, we will have no user. I think the getter name was colon null. So the name was actually called on null because the user was null. How can we make this better? The target expression uses, so its value can be null. Let's do like this instead. So if the catfacts.user is not equal to null, we are going to display the catfacts.user.name.first, and then or else we are going to display no user. That should probably solve the error we had, which it did. So let's see. So now we have our app. We've used cat facts. Now let's make it so when we click on it, we navigate to another page. So we can then have that other page have some kind of data. So for example, discount for which one we have read or how many we have read. We can display that in that page as well. I really want to make that a bit nicer. How can we make that one a bit nicer? What happens if we wrap this in a center? Okay, so that one pushes it to the... That looks good though. We can maybe do something like this. So let's have a container and this alignment is going to be center. And then let's just add some margin to the right. 12 maybe. Or 24. 16? Yeah, 16 looks better. And now we can just add some kind of styling to this. Theme.off context. Text theme. Can we have a subtitle? How does that look? Primary text theme. Title. Yeah, maybe something like that. So now we have the amounts read up there and in the top. So now we can pretty much go about pressing one of these, navigating, incrementing that value, and see how that is displayed in the app in multiple pages. Hello, short to the ground. How are you doing? Thanks, by the way. Nice watching your sim. Thank you. Hope it helps some of you at least. This is mainly like for the learning sequence of all of the state managements. So this will pretty much give you an example or a way to see how I learn things. And maybe that will help you. Later on, I will pretty much or probably just create condensed tutorials on each of the different state management solutions, depending on how much I learn on these streams, if that makes sense. So we have this list tile, so let's make a new page. So this page will be the cat fact page. And this will pretty much just be a stateless widget. Cat fact page. Let's return a scaffold. And that should be enough for now. Actually, we are going to create a variable also, which we are going to pass in, and that will be the fact or the cat fact we're actually passing in. So we will take a final cat fact or final cat fact. Let's import that. So now we have our cat fact and just control dot, and we can create a constructor. And I just like to have the constructor on top and then formatting that. And one more thing is that this constructor actually requires this cat fact, because I don't want to navigate to a fact without the actual cat fact. So let's make that required. So now when we actually call this, we are required to pass a cat fact. So let's do that here. So we can actually do like this, so we can do multiple things. So when we are incrementing the value, after we have done that, we actually want to navigate to the new page. And to do that, we can call navigator. And I'm not going to go into how the different ways we can do navigations. I'm just going to create normal navigations. So navigator dot off context dot push material page route, material page route, and I'm just going to close this off, just going to like that. And this one requires a builder, and this builder I believe takes a context probably. And then we're going to have the cat facts page, and this cat facts page require us to have, if we check this out, it requires us to have the cat fact. So we're going to pass in that. Haven't we imported it? Oh, we need to import it also. So I'm just going to see if I can format this another time so we can see it a bit better. So now we have the cat fact on the tile, and also when we push on a tile we should navigate to that page and increment this value. So let's push on that. We can see we have another page, and if we go back that is now 16. By the way, if you have any questions or getting stuck on anything I do, just be sure to give me all of your questions and I will see if I can answer them. If I can't, well then I can't. So we have the material page route. We are pushing the cat facts page. So let's go about creating this cat facts page. Let's create a app bar. That's probably the most easiest thing to do. We have the title, and let's just give the title something to do with the selected cat facts. So for example, we can take a text widget, call it cat fact, and what should we have? Let's do the same as we did before. So this one, one thing that we can see now that's getting kind of a lot is that we can see that this happens quite a bit. So let's go and see how we can manage this. So what we can do is make this user private here. And then like that should be enough. Maybe we can't do that as I want to. Let's just create a temporary one. So let's just create a getter for the name. Yeah. So let's create a getter for the name. So string get or string get username. I always get that in the wrong order. Username. That should be this condition or this condition, pretty much. So we don't have to start with the cat fact. We can simply check if the use is not equal to null. Then we're going to return it like this. So now instead of just calling this one all the time, we can user name. That should have the same solution, just that we can just call username instead. Most of the time you will probably just make that name private and then just create a getter for the name to make sure that it works, but we won't care about that too much now. So now we have the cat facts, and we can get the username the same way. And that just lets us not having to create that condition each time. So we have Alex here. Let's create the body, and maybe we can do this a bit nicer. I'll just create a list view because I don't know actually how much data it is. So a list view. This list view will have some, I think it already has some padding. Oh, thanks you for the donation, man. Hi Robert, first of all, thanks for your hard work, for your work. Are you a freelancer, and can we book you for a remote project in Germany? I'm actually not working as a freelancer. I thought about that in the beginning, but then I just wanted to make like videos and stuff like that. I have done some, I have a client, if you would say, that I'm teaching remotely, but I'm not working on any projects, and I'm not going to, I don't really have time to work on projects. I can take, I do some remote like tutoring, but that mostly depends. So let's see here. So we have the list view, and the list view is just going to be that cat facts text. And the reason we're having a list view is just because if this text of the cat facts would be far enough or long enough, it's just to make sure that it doesn't get out of bounds. So let's just take the text. This doesn't look the greatest. Maybe we can just add some padding. Yeah, there's probably a lot of freelancers that could help. But mostly, if you would contact me with projects, I usually don't have time to work on others' projects. I usually only have time like tutoring. That's what I prefer. I like to teach others to do the things. So this is not the nicest, but it doesn't really matter. Maybe we'll have before this text, maybe we'll have some kind of value here. Let's say it's hard to like, maybe I can show it in Paint what I'm thinking of, and then maybe I can see if that's like ugly or not. So what I'm thinking of is having I will probably do this in Figma instead, but let's just do it like this. So we have the data here, right? And I'm thinking of just having the text here. Something like that. Maybe. So we have the data there, and maybe we can do something like I want to display the amount of posts we have read. Maybe that's not important for these specific things, but this is more of like a MobX state management solution or showcase. So here I want to see amount of posts read. Let's make this a bit smaller. And then maybe it says like 12 here. Something like that. It doesn't really matter how we do it. I just want to make something like that so we can have that data that we are storing and display that in multiple places. So what we're going to do, we are going to have a row, right? Yeah. So let's just create a row. The reason we're using a row is because we're going to have two items beside each other. So the first one would be a text, and the second one would be a text. So we have the first one, total amount of posts read. I'm just going to display 12 inside here. Too many positional arguments, and this is of course going to be inside the children. So now we have that value. I'm just also going to add some spacing between here. A size box is a good way of doing this. We can just set the height of the size box to something like 42 maybe. So now we have that separation between those two. Oh, thanks bro for your nice work. Happy to help. What you are just creating. Are you asking me of what I'm creating? Okay, so let's see here. So we have the total amount of posts read, and that's 12. And that's not actually 12. We will go into use the provider here. So we have the final cats store is equal to provider.off. Going to import hi Robert, we mainly need only for the start and structuring and not the complete implementation. So it's similar to tutoring or a small project, and we will implement the rest with our team. It's mainly about the start with Flutter and its architecture. It's hard for me to answer this now. What you could do is go check out my community or about me section in YouTube, and you should see a email there. Yeah, send me an email, that's better. I'm a bit late. Could you show me a bit the CatFacts class just to make an idea of what's going on? Yeah, sure. So I'm just going to create this provider really fast. So let's just import the provider. We're going to have the type of the cat store. Something like that. They do it. Or am I completely off now? Context. There we go. Okay, so pretty much for everyone that's just jumping in, we have. It's really hard to like explain and have everything on such a big text. Okay, so we have the main. This is pretty much where we start with the provider. We have a model, and this model is just the cat facts, or the cat fact. And what I simply did was that we found a open API, and the only thing that I just did was just take that data we got from that open API and just Googled JSON to Dart, and then just pasted everything in. It wasn't that important. We just wanted some kind of model to display the data. This is probably not the way I would create the model, but it's just a nice little touch to make it really fast. Then when from main, we go to the cats facts page. And inside here, we have the cat store. So let's check out the cat store first. And this cat store is pretty much the implementation of MobX. So we have a listener. So each time we do anything here or create a variable, we are going to create a part or a generated file with all of the boilerplate, so to speak. And this just contains all different things like this facts read or observable. And right now we're just, every time we navigate to a page, we can see the value up here, up at the top right. That's just the facts read. So if I would navigate, we can see that that is now 21. So the thing that I'm going to do right now is this, that when we navigate to another page, that is going to also be displayed here. Just so we can get some kind of data that is like shown in different places of the app without actually passing it down the widget tree. Hey Akura, how are you doing? Akuro, I mean. So we have the value here, which is not going to be 12. It's going to be the facts read, and then just make it a toString. We could also actually make use of the computed value. So let's go to the cat store. So we have this facts read, and as this is a int, sometimes or most of the times actually, we're actually displaying it in a widget. So let's make a computed. And for those who have missed me creating a computed is pretty much just referencing or making a getter for another value, and just that it makes sure that the widgets are updated. Please give me some ideas for messaging app, like which package to use, and for background messaging sending. So this all depends. What I would do, it depends actually on the chat app. I would probably check out creating a chat app with Firebase, and each time somebody is sending a message, that would be created as a document in Firebase or Firestore under that user, or having a name for that user. And then what you can simply do then is I wouldn't probably create background messaging sending. I would probably just handle that with cloud functions. And what that cloud function would do is just simply listen to a collection of documents. And when a new one is added, it would check that in the cloud function, check which user, and then sending a remote notification to that user. I haven't worked enough with background messaging or background tasking to know a good way of doing this. I know there's a package for checking a background code each 15 minutes or something like that, but I haven't really done it. I think I already used computed on Node.js. Oh, awesome. Okay, so we have this computed, and this is pretty much just going to make some computations on this facts read. So, for example, we want this to be a string, right? So let's just make a string of this one. So string get, and that will be the facts read. Something like facts read text. It doesn't really matter. We just want to make sure that this is actually a text. Facts read. This can actually be displayed as count instead. That would make this more explainable. So facts read will be the facts read count.toString. I wish this wasn't live. It takes too much time to watch. Yeah, I know that happens also. But what I will be doing, if you have time to watch a whole stream of it, I will try, depending if it's after I'm completed with this stream with MobX, or when I'm completed with all of my state management streams, I will start creating tutorials for each one of them. That would be a lot more condensed than like 1 hour or 2 hours. So probably this is something for you instead. But if you want to just hang out or ask questions, you can do that on stream. So we have this facts read with a computed value instead. Let's see what we're going to do now. We should have some errors because we changed the name. Yeah, so the facts read is not the name of it. It's the facts read count, which we are going to increment. We can remove the main. So instead of doing facts read .toString, we don't need to do that anymore, because the facts read is already a string getter. And that's the same for this page, I believe, in the app bar. Yeah. So instead of having a toString, we can now remove that. So now just to rerun this application to see if everything is working correctly. We should see that we have 0 posts that we have read. So let's just go into a post, and we can see the total amount of posts read is 1. If we would navigate that is also 1. So instead of passing data, that's pretty much all of the state management's main goal, is that you don't have to pass specific data if you want to display it in multiple pages. As far as I'm concerned right now. Mostly I use blocks. I'm more like used to Stream and RxDart, but this is probably something I can recommend to beginners already. I can see. I'm not going to say anything else or anything right now about it, but it seems pretty straightforward at the moment. I haven't really done anything super complex, but they seem to have very good documentation also. But now we have that value, which is used incremental for each post we read. So what can we do more? We can navigate to a page. That's the total amount of read posts. So if we check this cat store, we have the state, we have the facts. This is probably going to have a better name. How different this is from Redux? Is it like generated Redux? Like Redux is more about having I forgot the names. It was quite a while ago I worked with Redux, but Redux requires a lot more code to get it set up. With MobX you pretty much just have your store, so to speak, and you can just add these annotations and then just call the variables you need right away. If that explains it, basically. You don't have to have an action and then dispatch that and then get the values and stuff like that. So this is a lot more easier implementation. I don't know about the scalability yet, but it should be fine. Well, I will authenticate using Firebase, but then how to send messages to someone? I don't get this. Maybe if you guys want, I could make a Cloud Firestore or a Cloud Function tutorial also. But what if you want to have send messages, you would have to implement the Firebase messaging plugin. And what you would pretty much do is that each time a document is added to that user or a message is added, you would just have a Cloud Function listen to that collection. So for example, if we have a Cloud Function listening to a collection where I send you a message, when that message is sent to you, that will be then triggered in Firebase Cloud Function. And when we have that, we have the specific data, for example, the message and everything like that. And then from that Cloud Function, we can then send a notification through that. Please make a tutorial about dynamic links. No one has covered it. Dynamic links, is that like sending links with like some kind of metadata in it? So for example, sending a message and when they open that, they get to a specific part of the app or something like that? Or what do you have in mind with the dynamic links? I know that Firebase has already like a dynamic link package. I really haven't used it, but I was thinking. Yeah, I can probably make a tutorial on that. I will have to check it out first. So I can't promise anything though. So we have this simple like app. We're navigating, we have the total post read. Like how can we make this more interesting? This looks like so dull. Shared intent should be great. Yeah, check that out also. Is that a package for... that sounds more like only Android though, or is it? Exactly, invite someone to use your app or start a game. I will have to check that out, see if I haven't really checked out the different solution for dynamic links. Maybe I'll do a video on that later. What can we do more? By the way, guys, be sure to hit the like. The streams don't get actually that much attention compared to normal videos. So liking the video or the stream really, really helps. Okay, let's see, what can we do more? We have the total amount of posts read. We can navigate to a post. Sadly, this this cat facts, I don't think it has like an image or something. We had ID, text type, upvotes, user upvotes. Don't think we have an image. Make app open, shared files, links, photos from other apps. Okay, so let's see here. Total amount of posts read. Let's just make a space here so we have some spacing. Maybe I should actually make a design beforehand so we can actually have something to work with. Maybe I will do that with the next state management. Do you guys get the basics of it with MobX, or is it like completely weird? I think I'm starting to catch it. Like, I haven't really used that many things. We have used actions, computed. We've used observables. I believe those are like the main building blocks with MobX. We have the observable to listen to that value. What can we do more? Maybe we could do something like also having at the top of the app, we can make a computed, which would like sum up all of the same names and then just display those names in a list, and having that count for how many posts they have. Maybe that's not interesting, maybe. But I think we got the basics down now with MobX. We have some kind of state management with the total amount of posts read. Let's make this a bit more. Cat facts page, we have this one. Let's make that string interpolated and then just push posts read. Something like that. We should be able to like display that how deep or how deep of a widget we want to. So like the only thing that I see is that I will have to check this out more when I'm using provider. But what I pretty much see is that we are using provider and MobX, and I don't really see a solution to or a reason to use both yet. I don't see why not just creating a provider, but maybe I will notice some more differences when I'm using the provider package. I remember computed were updated if anything changed and dynamically set state of the web page. Yeah, so what pretty much what my understanding of computed is that it just actually pretty much observes the observable, or it's each time this observable is updated, all of the computed is actually listening to these ones, and then we just make some kind of manipulation to that data, and then that one is also updated from the observable. Yeah, so that's my understanding of it too. And then we just have the actions, and like in my opinion this makes it very clear on what's actually changing some kind of state and what's not. So I really like this. My question is, it will call set state. So pretty much this won't actually call like set state in the manner you're thinking of. Let me show this in the cats page. Or the cats facts page. the cat facts page. Here we go. So for example, here at the top, we have this post red. So each time this is actually updated, or when we press that, it won't actually, so set state is actually calling the build function to rebuild everything. But with MobX, and we just calling and changing that observable, we can have a observer widget around that specific element, and then just update that specific widget. So for example, we have right now a observable with a container and then the text. So we actually don't need to update, for example, this observable right now. So we can actually make this a bit cleaner. So what we can do is actually just take this code right here, not creating a return. And instead we are going to have the observer instead of this text. And then of course returning that container. I think it's like this, maybe one more. Okay, of course it's not a child, it's a return. And then we have that. So now, for example, we have a observer. So now this, every time we read a fax, only the things that these observers are surrounded with or has inside them, only those are actually updated. Yeah, the observer controls pretty much the updates, yeah. So instead of calling set state, which updates the whole widget tree, we're simply just updating that specific widget instead. We will authenticate using Firebase, but how to send messages? I don't get it. Like sending messages is pretty much using adding documents to Firestore. You have, when you authenticate and you create a user in the database. So for example, you have a collection of users, and that user have then maybe a, for example, a sub collection or something like that for messages. And then you just put messages in there, or data or documents in there for the messages. And then of course you can have a bit more structure in it, but that's pretty much the gist of it. Please help for one design, please. Who knows Flutter? There's like, we have a Discord if anyone is interested. Let me show you here. I don't have time all the time to answer questions here, but if you would like to, you could join this Discord. I think it's down in the description. And I try to help a lot of, as much as I can. And of course, if other people can help, be sure to help also. But if you have like specific problems with the design, make sure to like create Stack Overflow questions also. Most of them can help also if you're getting stuck. That's what Stack Overflow is for. So let's see. We have the text with the post red. Oh, I think that's good enough. Please make a search bar just like Instagram or TikTok. Make a search just like Instagram or TikTok. I don't know how they are. Flutter has to. Yeah, it's quite overwhelming with a lot of different patterns actually. I agree with that. But I think as the time goes by, some of the patterns will just take more. Let's see, what's the name of it, or what's the word for it? Just take more space, and more people will use them and recommend them. And those in the end will be the ones that are going to be used. So this is just mainly a problem because this is open source and everyone is creating different state management solutions. And I just want to make sure to cover all of them so people can make more educated like decisions which state management they want. And if then the majority is taking like one state management, then that's good also. Like I have it, you think that we can create that we like I haven't really created different like search bars. I know that Flutter has like a implemented widget now for searching, and I think they are working on a material design search bar also. What's the? But maybe we're getting quite enough of this one. I would try to make. Let's see, what is the next? GitHub. I'm not sure what other state or what's the next state management we'll cover. So I will just display this on the screen and maybe zoom in a bit. So this is the repo we're using. Here we can see the different state management we're going to cover. So we're covering right now MobX. I'm not sure if we are going to just take this order, but maybe just go with provider next. I will see if I can get a better workflow or better examples to create beforehand. I just wanted to go in and test and see what would the live stream be if we would just see if we could learn it together. By the way, be sure to like start the repo. Maybe this can help some people also. But I think we got most of it down in this one. We're having a list of posts. We can navigate to them, have that post read. We can also, just for example, we can go to cat fact page. Let's just have another widget here, or another row actually. And this will just be the total amount of posts, and that will be the facts. Was it facts? Yeah, that's the total amount of facts. So now we can display that also in different pages of the app. I really don't have more time to actually stream. Maybe I will see more in the future if I can create more tutorials on search bars. I know that some people are asking for that. What I think in terms of memory, we need to have a store always loading in memory. If we have some APIs added, it could be. Maybe I haven't really looked into these things actually. I don't think that is going to be like the main issue with the what's it called, like the patterns or the solutions. Like mainly we will be looking at like readability or learnability, and also like removing the cases where we can make errors pretty much. We want to like reduce all of the errors we can make. And right now it seems like the MobX store or MobX makes this pretty simple. What is MobX? MobX is just a state management solution, or a, for example, I don't really know how to explain it, but much like a state management solution. There is a package floating search bar. Take a look for implementation search. Yeah, there's also a lot of plugins here for search bars. But I think we got the most of it. Be sure, guys, to like the stream so we can get some likes on it at least. And we are going to check out provider next. It will probably be somewhere next week. I'm not sure if it's going to be on the weekend or on the weekdays. But we'll see that then. I will be sure to update you on YouTube and also Twitter. Let's see if I can. Yeah. So thank everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next stream, video, Twitter, Discord, whatever. Be sure to join off whatever you want to, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you, everyone.